Everyone knows how it feels to be hyped for a video game, right? You see an announcement trailer or a normal trailer and put on your biggest wow face and think, how insane is this? This is going to be the best game ever, especially if you do a YouTube reaction video about it. Right now the most hyped game that is releasing soon is going to be Tears of the Kingdom, and soon this is going to be completely outdated when you see this video after its release. But did you know that there is a game that's forever going to be the most hyped game ever? That's right, it exists, and its name is Hype the Time Quest, a Playmobil video game. This game was developed as the last game in the Playmobil trilogy developed by Ubisoft Montreal, the same studio who later developed the Splinter Cell games, Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed, etc. I kinda lied though, they're not a trilogy, but they developed exactly 3 Playmobil games: Laura's Happy Adventures, Alex Builds His Farm, and Hype the Time Quest. I owned all of these games as a kid, and I can tell you that only Hype is worth the time. I'm totally not biased because for some reason Alex Builds His Farm didn't really run on my PC for some reason, and Laura's Happy Adventures felt a game for girls, which it pretty much is. But I had the Game Boy Color version of it too, and that one was pretty fun with its minigames, while the PC version just lacked things to do, and so it was pretty short and boring. To a boy at least. But enough about those, we are here to talk about the most hyped game ever, Hype. But before we talk about the actual game, let me rant about something real quick. Back in the day, it was always a war between Lego and Playmobil, and that war still wages on nowadays. People who mostly played with Lego will call people who mostly played with Playmobil out, and the other way around. But do we really have to fight? There are already enough horrible wars happening, like people arguing about what pizza toppings are okay or not, and even more horrible things, like is it okay to swallow your toothpaste or not. So compared to those wars, the war between Lego and Playmobil seems a bit silly. Lego kid or Playmobil kid, it doesn't matter. In the end, we should shake our hands and be friends with each other. Even if we don't play with these toys anymore. Maybe you still do, which is totally fine. In a way, playing Minecraft is pretty much Lego, just way less expensive, and there's nothing really Playmobil-like on the market, I guess. As a kid, I had both, Lego and Playmobil, and as a kid I already didn't have that much creativity, but at least a bit more than now. So I had lots of fun just taking Lego stones and building random structures and stuff with them, because we just had lots of big boxes full of random stones. Playing with Playmobil was a bit different. You couldn't really build your own stuff since it was big massive pieces of plastic, and it was mostly to just roleplay your own stories or have a cool castle, fight against your friends or uncle or whatever. So I'm not quite sure why there's always this fight between the two factions, since they're so different, and Playmobil feels like a relic of a different time. I never really hear anything about it anymore, but it still exists. But Lego is still everywhere, even if it's overpriced garbage nowadays. At least that's what I heard from Lego YouTubers. Also, Lego feels more like a status symbol nowadays sometimes. People buying expensive sets of their favorite popular pop culture franchise to be able to assemble it and just put it on their shelf to get it caked with a layer of dust instead of playing with it. Because, well, as an adult there's not that much fun to be had playing with Lego, and it's mostly about the aesthetics. It's a bit sad but understandable. The magic of Lego long extinguished and will never ever be rekindled again. Just like the magic of this game, which is still a good game since I recently replayed it. So it's not just nostalgia speaking. All the footage you're seeing is taken from the YouTube channel Alpha Yellow, who does long play or walkthroughs and says they don't even want to be attributed when using their footage, but I'm gonna do it anyway since that's the right thing to do. The story is pretty simple. Some random black knight comes from nowhere, tells the king he wants to be the new king now, and since you're the king's strongest knight, you try to intervene, but the black knight just turns you into stone and sends you back in time. Poof. Some beginner mage turns you back to a normal human that isn't a warg, and now it's your turn to save the world by finding a way to go back to the future. Well, you don't go back to the future, you go into the future, or you go back to the past. But anyways, and getting stronger on your way there, because you obviously don't want to be turned into a warg again, because that's what happen if you don't get stronger, because the first time you fought against the Black Knight, you got owned. Imagine turning into a warg though. Just imagining it fills me with an existential fear of the void of nothingness. You can't see anything, you don't know what's going on. Can you hear? Can you feel? Can you even think? It's like an internal slumber without anything, wondering if it will ever end. Obviously in real life you would die after a bit since you can't breathe, but for our hero Hype it must be quite a bad trip, since he somehow must have been alive during it. At least he's alive again now and can walk and do cool stuff, and that's what counts. So you begin your adventure with your sword, a crossbow and a single magic spell, but no worries, you unlock a few more throughout your journey as a simple playable figurine. And something about that just feels so cool. Maybe not really cool as an adult, but as a kid it did. The whole Playmobil aesthetic of the game just somehow makes it such a unique experience, especially since I owned a few of these things as a kid, like the castle or the dragon you later meet and even get to fly on. It makes you feel like your toys came to life, in a way that isn't Skylanders where you have to pay to win. You probably won't get that kind of experience if you never played with the Playmobil toys before, or nowadays as an adult if you never played the game before. What also makes the game pretty cool is that you go through time and a different part of the world change with it. Not by much, but they do change, and depending on what time era you choose, different locations open up. I just really love time traveling things in video games, being able to go through time and seeing what changed and what didn't. I wish time traveling was real, so I could go back in time to fix my life, instead of having to put in the effort nowadays, after I already quite ruined it to a point where it robs me of all motivation to even get started to get it back on track. But that's just the way I have chosen my life, with multiple bad life decisions that I look back upon with regret and despair that could fill up a whole well that keeps putting me deeper and deeper into it to drown me, and I have nothing against it except a few coping mechanisms that will only mildly ease the slow suffocation that I am experiencing each moment. I don't occupy my brain with thoughts, so I won't let the bad thoughts slowly creep and crawl back into my mind. But what can I do against it at night? Laying in my comfy bed, surrounded by nothing but darkness and the flickering light of my monitor, where I put on some random Mario Maker 2 gameplay to see a plumber bing bing wahooing while I try to laugh at it and try to fall asleep. But it would also be cool to go back in time to see dinosaurs, or into the future to see the even bleaker future that our planet is facing. The game is just so charming and cute in its own way. Everything's pretty simple and easy since it's a kids game, but I'm also not embarrassed to admit that for some reason the game at certain points scared the heck out of me. Now you might wonder, how? But there's ghosts in the game. They literally look like the classic just put a white bed sheet onto a person kind of ghost, and yeah, I don't know. I was a very big scaredy cat as a kid, and still am. And there's a giant in the game, and somehow that scared me too. Maybe I'm just scared of tall people since I'm 5'2", so I'm fairly small, but at least I'm above 5 feet, so I'm not that small. There even was a giant clown in the Laura Playmobil game too, and I'm pretty sure it's the same animation and all that, just a bit reskinned. Because in that game, you know, he's not trying to kill you in Laura's adventure, but here, the giant is trying to kill you. You know, because a clown normally tries to make you happy with his tricks. I never quite understood why some people are so afraid of clowns. They're just people trying to make a decent living, for the most part, if we ignore some of these serial killers who dressed up as clowns. But you can trust most of them. I would call myself a clown and you can easily trust me. Put your faith into me. Would I recommend this game? Yes, I would. To people who do enjoy games that may seem bad but are not bad at all. Obviously it's not a 10 out of 10 game, but it's not a waste of time either. It's a well-paced game that can be beaten pretty quickly as an adult, with a bit of rubber at the end where you gotta look for some dumb flags, but even that doesn't take too long. But maybe my opinion is a bit biased since it was one of my favorite games as a kid. The game takes a bit of tinkering to be able to be run on modern PCs, but there's also a PlayStation 2 version which I have never played, but I skipped through a let's play on YouTube to see if there's any big differences, and I couldn't see any, so just play that instead, since emulating it seems way easier and faster. So yeah, go play it before doing that. You should give the video a like though if you enjoyed it, or also subscribe to look forward to other videos, such as me talking about the old Lego games in the future. Probably. I actually haven't planned to do so, but you know, now that I'm saying this, maybe I have to do them now. Have yourself a good one, and maybe we will see each other again next time.